Okay, working on an '07 Toyota FJ Cruiser V6 4.0 all-wheel drive. Going to take the alternator out and replace it. First thing we did was remove the battery. We're going to take this top off, remove the 2 bolts, and then they got pins in the back. You just pull them out and pull the whole thing out of there. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take that bolt out. That's on the back side of the alternator. Now I've already got the alternator in, but I'm showing you what you got to take out first. This, and then you have this wiring harness is hooked up there on that. You want to take that off of that clip, and you can take this bracket out. It's a 10mm bolt that holds this bracket in right here. I'd take that one out. Now there is another one underneath. I took this bracket out as well. Took that one out, disconnected both of them, and then as you can see around the front, you got to put your wire in there. I did it backwards to show you so that you could see the cleanness, what I put in and everything. But once you take your clip off there, take that off, but take that piece off there, that 10mm bolt. You take that bracket off, it'll allow you to have some room. So you got the oil filter, but they tell you to take the pan way down low off so you can get to the tensioner. I didn't take it off. I didn't have to. They tell you got to take the fan out as well. I didn't have to take the fan off, although he had something around the spline right there behind the clutch fans, that pink thing there. He had something wrapped around it, which was a belt, but I got all that off there. Took off the wire connector, took off the other connector. There is a bolt right here that goes in the front, and then there's one. You'll see the other bolt hole right there. There's just 2. It goes through this hole, and it just pulls right out. So all you gotta do is back that bolt out, back that one out, and wiggle it up. If you wiggle it towards up, you'll be fine. Okay, so you're gonna see this piece right here. It's gonna have a little nub right there that's gonna be what keeps it tight when it pulls it down. But other than that, we're putting in a new alternator, so I'll make sure that this gap here is totally opened up, so that way I can put the bolt right back through it, tighten it down to spec, and we're good to go. The upper one's an idler. The one down there, if you spin that one, and I'm going to run you in real quick so you know which one I'm talking about. That one right there. That one right there is your tensioner. The one above it is just an idler. You don't have to mess with that one there. It's this one down here. Well, all I did was I took an extension and I ran it out farther to get the bolts out of this up here and the one down here, and the tensioner. I just took this top piece, took the top piece out to get to the tensioner. I only used the tensioner and a 14mm to get all the bolts. All that is 14mm. So just use this one and this one to get to the tensioner. And you can push the hose a little bit, the water hose, but it is mounted in plastic, so be careful around that. You don't want to break it off if it's brittle. But other than that, it's good to go. So we're going to start putting it back on. I'll show you the belt routing when I'm done. I'll probably just mark that out on the board so you can see how your belt routing goes and give you the torque specs of what I torqued it down to, and we'll see if this thing gets up and running. Okay, the bolt on top of the alternator that holds your wire on, that gets 85 inch-pounds. All the other little 10mm like this one, the ones on the bottom of the alternator that holds this bracket on, this one here, you can do 70 inch-pounds on those. The big bolt, this one, and the other one that's farther down that hold the alternator in. The big bolts, the 15mm bolts, you can put 32 foot-pounds on them, 31 foot-pounds, and that'll do those. Battery tray, you can basically do 70 inch-pounds on that as well. All right, there's your torque specs for you. The first thing you're going to want to do is take this serpentine belt and place it around the fan. So you're going to have to reach down inside, put it in front of the fan to put it around it, and then once you get it on, The way I did it was I didn't take off the cover underneath the motor. You can if you want to reach up to the tensioner and do it that way. However, I didn't. I went ahead and did it over the top. So you put the belt over the top or behind the fan, and then I went ahead and laced it underneath the crank, around the AC, and I went over this side first. So I started on the right side. Now you got to remember, you got your belt in a big circle. So I just started putting the bottom down here, and then I started hooking it around the AC. I went up around the alternator, and then I went under the idler, which is right here. But then I stopped there. Once I got this side in, I went ahead and I started bringing this back around, and I went around the tensioner, and then as it wrapped underneath the water pump, I left it there. And then this one here was kind of hanging out here. I didn't put it on the power steering. What I did do was put it over the number 2 idler here, and once I put it over that idler, then I reached down in and I cranked the tensioner down. Now it was a pretty good distance too. You got to remember, it goes counterclockwise to tension it, or to release the tensioner, it's counterclockwise. So once you release that pretty far down, it went down pretty far, then you had enough that you could, with your left arm, put the power steering or put the belt around the power steering. And that's how I got it on. I didn't, like I said, I didn't take the face plate or the dust plate underneath the radiator or underneath the car off. You can do that. I've done it before, but it's just more work. So if you can work around that, you can basically get to this tensioner with a flexible head ratchet, or you can use a regular ratchet, either way. Just be careful of the water pump hose that comes down. It does run down this way, so just be careful around that, because that water pump outlet housing is plastic. Other than that, that's how it's hooked up. That's the way you route it. Thanks for watching Sam Time. Please hit the like,